just got off the phone with my late mother's wife. My mother passed away in 2019. And her wife lives in Ireland, and I'm in the United States. I'm in North Carolina. So, we talk every once in a while via FaceTime or like Messenger. And I wanted to know why my mother gave me a picture. So she was in the hospice, and my daughter and I were there able to say goodbye to her. So the day before she passed away, we were in her room, and she was the sweetest thing. She gave my daughter her guitar. She was a musician. My mom was a musician. She played a bunch of instruments, but her favorite instrument was the accordion, but she also played the guitar and all kinds of instruments. But she loved teaching, so she taught with this guitar. She taught kids and other people, Long story short, she gave this guitar to my daughter, her granddaughter at that moment. And I thought it was very sweet. And I was not expecting to get a gift or anything from my mother when she passed away. And I knew I was not going to be included in any, inheritance or anything that would be, handed down, or, in certain situations when parents pass away, sometimes people inherit something, and I knew that was not going to be the fact for me, or, that was just not something I expected due to the circumstances. So, but she did give me something, and I was really touched by that. So she gave me a gift, and it was wrapped in I think it was a scarf, and there was a letter with it, and I thought that was super sweet. But I didn't open it at the time because I just, it was an overwhelming situation. I mean, your mom is there dying, and I just, So I did not open it. Or maybe I took a glance and I was just kind of confused at that moment. But I took it with me. The next day, she passed away. Or that night, really, she passed away. On my birthday. That was the night to my birthday. So I woke up on my birthday and got the news, received the phone call that my mother passed away. And I had to tell it to my daughter, and it was really sad, So for a moment I was kind of frozen in that situation, but finally I walked outside and I sat down, and I was overlooking the beautiful ocean. This was in Ireland, so I was able to look. I was right at the beach there at my mother's friend's property that I didn't intend on staying, but she insisted the night before that we stay with her, which was exactly what I needed. And I didn't tell her it was my birthday or anything, and I had a little Airbnb that we stayed in with my daughter and I were staying in a little Airbnb, and it was far away, and we didn't have a car, so we had to take the bus and stuff like that. So I guess the friend who took us from the hospice the day before and took us to the cliff, we did a beautiful, she was just so sweet. She took us to the cliffs of Moher, which is what I told her reminded me most of my mom, because that's the first time I met her. That's where she took me, to the cliffs, and we overlooked the ocean, and so she took me there. That was the day before she passed away. And so, long story short, that's a story for another day, but long story short, I was waking up at this little cottage by the sea. The sun was shining, and if you know anything about Ireland, the sun doesn't shine often. But it was beautiful that morning, and I was sitting down in the chair, and that's when grief just rushed over me. I started bawling my eyes out. I had this overwhelming, extreme sense of sadness. I mean, I've never in my life felt like that. And the tears just came rushing down, and I just cried and I cried and I cried. I mean, it was such an, it was just amazing. I paused in the middle of it and I was amazed at my own tears that and it felt like a lifetime of grief just came over me, you know. And it was a familiar grief, and for the first time in my life I didn't feel like I had to hold it back. For the first time in my life I allowed myself to cry. For the first time in my life I thought, okay, I'm allowed to cry. This is, I lost my mother. This is okay. You're allowed to cry. And it just all came out. And anyway, I was on the phone with, back to our phone conversation. We were talking about that, and she asked me how I'm doing with all of this, and, you know, I had asked her how she's doing with all of it, and we just, you know, have these conversations every once in a while. And I told her that I feel lighter. I feel like I put down a burden. I feel like I was finally able to release a lot that was holding into my body. And so, you know, it was just this odd realization of packing lighter and how much lighter I'm packing 4 years after she had passed away, and how much work I was actually, how much I worked on myself. Yeah, so that was a beautiful realization to just have noticed. You know, before she passed away, I didn't allow myself to grieve her. I didn't allow myself to miss her. I didn't allow myself to acknowledge that I had lost her the day I was born. That I suffered from this maternal separation all my life. And when we finally reunited, she found me when I was 14, so it wasn't that long, but we didn't reunite until I was 18, when I was able to go and meet her. I flew to Ireland and met her there. So yeah, that's back to that present that she gave me. Wondering, okay, I'm sidetracked. I'm driving and everything, but bear with me. This last phone conversation, I had put, so the present that she gave me was a picture. After she passed away that morning, that's what I was going with. That morning, I finally took out that present she gave me and I opened it, and it was an old wooden picture with a clown on it. It was a clown picture with an accordion on it and some birds in the background. And honestly, I was so confused. That when I saw that, and it was kind of, I mean, this whole thing was painful, but that sort of left a sting. You know, I couldn't handle that in the moment. I didn't understand why she would leave me a clown picture. And it just felt, I couldn't place it. So that clown picture went into a drawer. As soon as I got home, it went into a drawer. I never opened the drawer again. I left it there. And I had a conversation around it, you know, probably 2-3 years later with my therapist. And she tried to reframe it a little bit to me, you know, thinking, you know, saying maybe it's something that she really cherished a lot and all of that. But honestly, I didn't really know what that was about. So what I did, finally, I had the courage to ask her wife. I thought, if anybody knew, why in the world I got a clown picture from her with an accordion? And I mean, she loved accordion, so maybe there was something to it with that. But I finally was like, hey, you know, I'm at a good place with everything, but one thing that I really would like to know is why she gave me that picture. And do you know anything about that picture? Her wife was like, oh, is that the picture that she had hanging in the kitchen? Oh, does it look like such and such? And I'm like, yeah. So she's like, you know, honestly, I don't know what that is all about. She always had that picture and she doesn't know. And yeah, so she said, you know what? I think she got it from that German family that lived across the street when she was growing up. And that was significant with her mom. And I said, oh, the letter that was with it, that letter she gave me, that described her mom and her brothers and how they were building a wall, and it described the family at the time. She said, yeah, maybe this is what she wanted you to know, just the circumstances and a glimpse into the family. And so she couldn't really give me an answer about that picture. And in hindsight, I mean, who knows what it represented to her, I don't know. But that's the only thing I have. I mean, honestly, what I do cherish is her music. I have her music, I have her CDs, I have her voice. So it's not, I mean, that picture is really not the only thing that I have from her. I do have her music, but the only thing she ever gave me like that, and I thought it was like some sort of significance, was that picture. So yeah, I didn't get an answer to why I received a clown picture with an accordion. Maybe she wanted to make me smile. Maybe she thought it was funny. Yeah, but I don't know. So sometimes we don't get answers in our lives, I mean, for me to have the answers that I have is more than I could have ever asked for. So just having to wonder about a clown picture is not as bad as you think, because I was adopted. I was relinquished right after being born. And the more significant thing she told me right before she passed is that she never got to hold me. She was never able to hold me because they told her that my new parents are right behind the curtain, which obviously was a lie because, I was in the system in Germany for a minute before I was adopted. So, I mean, that just shows you the lies people have to live with and So for me to have all those answers, and even know what happened to me right after I was born and relinquished, and knowing that I was not held, is more significant than knowing about this clown picture. And knowing who my family is and who I'm related to and where my roots are is more important than that clown picture. So I take it as a metaphor, because my whole life was like a clown picture. It was mask and lies and unknown and not knowing and questions. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my racial background. I didn't know my origins. I grew up in Germany, so people ask me all the time, why are your parents white, and why are you and your brother not? Why are you brown? They didn't call us black. They called us the N-word at the time. But, the question was always in the room. So I feel like that clown picture represents that aspect of my life. The not knowing and the mask all these people were hiding behind, and all of my story was hiding behind, and the unmasking of my truth. And finally getting the answers. So yeah, there you have it. That's my own answer to why I got that picture, but hey, who knows, Anyway, I just got where I need to go, so I'll talk to y'all another day. Let me know if you like that story time. Whoop, there was a bump.